attack us, we will counter. Transference still holding.
They've got me. Tenno, help! freaking out.
It is time. I will teach these trespassers the redemptive.
Our position has been compromised. Defend the cargo until
I'm down!
What's up, OG? No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
But those were the parameters that were used to, and it seems to me that if you just take
Hell no. Hell no. You know how many formulas you gotta put on that nigga to even make him half good? Hell no. How many formulas you put on him already? Oh, well, you're in low-level missions, yeah, of course. Yeah.
It seems to me that the top and the accusations in front of the committee.
Yeah, that's low-level, man. That's low-level, man. I'm not talking about 90s. I'm talking about 90s. Oh, you didn't. Oh, you didn't.
Tenno, help!
Hell no.
I'm down.
Hell no. Nah, this is whack. I tell you, man, nah, this is garbage. Delete that nigga. Nah, he's just a weak friend.
They've got me. Tenno, help!
Well, my sniper's got 5 formers on it. My sniper's got 5 formers. 5 formers. He's trash. You crazy. Now you done lost your mind. Now you definitely don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Crazy. No, you don't. You ain't got no good mods. You better go buy some good mods. I'm about to fail this motherfucking sortie for the second time. Only got 25 minutes to do this stupid sortie.
They were positively by the one which extended, and that's the identification, because then the story is just going to be about the FBI if Carol gets pushed through, we're going to be in the same place as the FBI investigation. It's the majority of women in this country feeling violated. So beyond politics, and if you do it was about to me, to have a sane Supreme Court, we were going to have women feeling almost worse than before the Me Too movement. And how does that play out in November? How does that play out going forward? You know, the Supreme Court was one of the last institutions staying. Media, everything is kind of dumped on. And now, the entire generation going forward, they will not be able to extract the same way, particularly those
Come on, man. Fucking game is glitching out big time. Holy shit, man. This nigga about to die again.
Thursday and Friday, everybody I talked to was talking about Dr. Ford and Kavanaugh was horrible and he should be, driven out to sea and in the tough road and everything else. I was surprised over the weekend to actually talk to him and who I haven't seen anything like this in quite a while. They would sit there and then they would question about Dr. Ford's story. And then, eventually, they would start talking about how Brett Kavanaugh was. And then they would start actually and you figure out what they were. Democrats with Kavanaugh to go through. They thought fabulous, which
leading out.
Certainly whatever type she was. But there was just a general frustration that
God, these guys suck, man.
There was no good guys, good girls, bad guys, good girls, women, etc., etc. It was just everybody was negative about everything.
What about my cat, man? These motherfuckers. What about the cat, man?
They've got me. Help! Help!
So supercharged, and citizens of America took time out from their day on Thursday to watch these hours and hours of serious testimony. Very doses of testimonies, and it was just for everyone.
Look at my shit glitched out, yo. Look at my operator right there. And I'm running around in my Warframe, but my operator's standing right there. But we still got 3 more to go. We're so dead, and the game is glitching out big time. Look, I can't even get out of my operator. Come on, man. Wow, this game is so fucked up, man. That's it. It's a wrap. I give up. Look at my operator standing right there. And my Warframe is over here dead. How the fuck is that? Failed. Why the fuck? Look at my operator right there, man. Why the fuck my operator glitched out like that? Look at that shit, yo. Look at this stupid shit.
No. They've got me. Help!
We talked to, as far as feelings go, almost everybody I talked to feelings about.
Look at this. Look at the way the game fucks me. Here's my operator, just standing there. Here's me pressing, you hear that? That's me pressing my transference button, and it won't transfer shit. You know what I'm saying? There's 19 minutes left to finish this sortie, and I ain't gonna be able to do it again if we fail this time around. Ay, 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 ay. Wow, man. Look at my operator just sitting there.
Bleeding out.
Very impressive, Tenno. You held them all back. Time to get out of here.
Oh my god, another one of these pieces of shit. I went through all that for that piece of shit. Wow, fuck you. Oh, yes, man.
And typically, when there is something like this that comes up, they do set an initial scope. The committee will say, okay, we're going to talk to these people to look into this thing that we've heard about. But they're typically limited then on how far the FBI can follow those leads. So there's some very real questions right now, and I think it's not getting any feedback to the FBI that's particularly frustrated with what they view as political hamstringing here. So I do think ultimately, in terms of this confirmation, those are the real two questions for Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Jeff Flake that they're going to have to answer. First, is there any new information that's potentially disqualifying? And second, do they actually believe that this was a credible probe? My gut is that, and we've heard
Well put together, operator. Now get out there and
Cut down the...
and make the Lotus proud.
Yes, so I think if there's any way to kind of look at this in a credible way, she could potentially get there. And the other thing I wanted to raise too, Joe, is there's a memo that went out late last night from Republicans. It's actually from Rachel Mitchell, the prosecutor. You talked about it in the 6 o'clock hour. That's the first time I've really seen Republicans lay out arguments that question Dr. Ford's credibility. And I think it's a strategy because they're letting somebody else do it. They're letting Rachel Mitchell say, okay, these are the inconsistencies in her stories. All of these things are just mixed up. That what Orrin Hatch said in a soundbite, she's kind of laying out on paper. So that shows me that there's a back half to that strategy. Yes, they were worried about the optics of the hearing, but now they got somebody else who's going to carry that water for them.
Well, and they have to be able, the FBI, it seems to me, Matt Miller, I understand the limiting of the scope as far as the witnesses that you're going to talk to, the incidents. These are the two incidents that were brought in before our committee. These are the two incidents that we want you to investigate. These are the key players we want you to investigate. I understand in a one-week investigation, that makes sense. What makes no sense, though, and what Collins, Flake, and Murkowski must insist on, it seems to me, is if you get something, if you get a lead, you have to follow. And if you're not allowed to follow leads, then it's a scam investigation, right?
Ordis has been counting stars, operator. All accounted for.
The FBI or the committee or the White House, after a background investigation has been completed, and what usually happens is the client agency, which in this case is the White House, will go back to the FBI and say, okay, we want you to go investigate this. And they will say, this is the scope. We want you to look at these allegations. They're true enough. what I have never heard happening, it didn't happen in the Obama administration, is saying to the FBI, we want you to go interview only these 4 witnesses. That's where this becomes completely inappropriate. And I will tell you, I think Casey's right about the frustration within the FBI. It's not a coincidence that the scope of this investigation has worked out over the last 2 days. The FBI knows exactly what's going on here, and they're being used by the White House. The White House wants to use them to give a good housekeeping stamp of approval. And in fact, the investigation is being limited from the outset, where it can only kind of produce a preordained outcome if you can't go look at everything. And I don't think the FBI is going to take very kindly to being Donald Trump's harassment, especially after the past 18 months when he has attacked them and undermined them. I guarantee you will see more leaks from the Bureau about what the limits are on this investigation and whether they can actually go get to the truth, which is their job, which is what they would like to do.
Well, and the FBI is going to be getting a letter, I believe, from Senator Feinstein today, who is the ranking member of the Senate Judiciary Committee, to Director Wray, and they're going to be asking him about the scope of the investigation. Let's hope that, again, the FBI is going to be allowed to do what they need to do. John Heilman, I want to ask you the question that I asked Casey Hunt. If we move forward, no shocking revelations come out, do we see Flake, Murkowski, Collins, and Manchin end up voting for Brett Kavanaugh?
Well, look, I mean, first of all, Jeff Flake has said publicly over this weekend that he intended to vote, as he said, for Judge Kavanaugh, and that he still intends to vote for Judge Kavanaugh unless something changes in this period. So he's on the record on that front. I think Casey is right, and my interactions with Susan Collins suggest that she has been looking all along for a way to get to yes, and I believe Joe Manchin is more inclined to vote yes than to vote no. So you've got the votes right there. Lisa Murkowski is a little different because of Judge Kavanaugh's stance on Native issues and some of the politics in her state. She's probably the most likely in that group to be inclined to vote no. But again, if you have Flake and Collins and Manchin, you're there. So in the absence, again, there are lots of questions we've discussed or started to discuss this morning about the scope of this FBI inquiry and how it's conducted. But if we get to the end of the week under whatever set of circumstances, and it looks as though we're still in he said, she said mode, and there's been no big breakthroughs on the investigative front, I think that Donald Trump and Brett Kavanaugh will have the votes for the Supreme Court.
So last night, Jeff Flake, along with Senator Jones, they were both on 60 Minutes talking about the compromise they made on Friday. And Jeff Flake said, now, I personally don't understand this, but I guess this is how people think in Washington these days. But he personally said that if he were running for re-election, there's no way he could have done what he did last night. He might as well have said that he had monkeys swimming out of his ears. I don't understand that line of thinking. I mean, I always found in my district, a very conservative district, that if you took a courageous stand and then you explained it to your voters, even the most conservative of voters who may not have agreed with what you did, or even the most liberal voters, they actually rewarded you for that. But Jeff Flake said last night that if he were running for re-election, there's no way he could have ever done what he did. That seems to feed right into the central thesis of your book, which is we are two nations, a red nation and a blue nation, and this stark division it just prevents compromises the likes of which we saw on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you mentioned Flake, too. Flake is somebody who is sort of, when you get caught between that polarization, when you get caught in between that tribalism, this is what happens to your political career, because he took some steps in the last 2 years.
About life, nigga, yeah. Why? What's wrong with that?
Sort of turned the Republican base in his state and nationally against it. And then he'll take steps, though, that anger the
You implied it.
who are eager to embrace him because the conservatives want to sort of cast him out. And it left him this year heading into his re-election in that position where he was sort of
asking
both juries, the Republican primary
the way you asked, the way you said it.
And the general
Straight up
election
bullshit.
didn't seem like it wanted to
You on your bullshit today, bro?
not to run again. And yes, you mentioned the
I'm trying to crush me in the elevator again today. That's what the fuck is up. Set me up. I ain't down with that shit today, but not today anyway.
red and blue America in particular.
Yeah, he's gonna keep dying over and over and over again.
Syncs up with the party where there are those deep demographic, cultural, and geographic distinctions between
Cause you want them damn baby missions, man. making kindergarten. In the kindergarten missions, I'll take you somewhere where you can die.
18% of Americans control 50% of the votes in the United States Senate, and it's the most complex part of that 18%. But
See, look, niggas is buying Chroma Prime. I'm trying to buy them today for 100 Plat. 100. That's how bad. That is fucking disgusting.
The central and western time zones.
That is really bad.
Central and mountain time zones. If Democrats can start figuring out how to win in the center of the country again, a lot of these problems might go away.
It's interesting because we talk about this blue and red America as they're now defined. As I say, the 1990s, think of it this way. The number of counties in the country, there are over 3,100 counties in the United States. And when Bill Clinton became president back in 1992, when he won that election, Bill Clinton was able to carry in 92 and 96 almost half the counties in America. Geographically, Bill Clinton was able to carry them. That tribalism, that polarism, that red and blue, if you shed red and blue to anybody in the country,
check what relics they got on Cetus, when you get a chance.
But when you fast forward to the 2000 election, when you shake out all the events,
when you get a chance, check what relics they have on Cetus.
Clinton versus Gingrich, all of that, you have that near perfect tie on election night 2000. And how many counties is Al Gore able to carry in that election? We're talking about 500 counties out of 3,100, and that's the world, even in victory. Barack Obama was only able to get up to about 800 of them in 2012. Hillary Clinton, less than 500 in 2016. Blue America, as it was created in the 90s and as we have been living with since, it is a metropolitan.
Them little baby ones where you won't die.
Predominantly metropolitan phenomenon. There's been huge growth in Democratic strength there. You know, big population centers, big population dense areas. But yeah, the vastness of the country, those rural areas, those ex-urban areas, when you start talking about the U.S. Senate, that's the core of red America. That's the strength of the Republican Party over the last generation.
But at least let's talk about Bill Clinton for a second. I remember as a Republican
Tenno,
looking at
alert has begun. It will be marked on navigation.
And I was outraged.
I put my shit, want to sell, in giant letters, want to sell. And niggas is still asking me if I want to buy them. Well, what the fuck is wrong with you? These niggas is just, I don't get it, man. I just don't get it.
The Mississippi River, and Bill Clinton knew how to win in the heart of America. I understand there are a lot of issues that Democrats and Republicans have with Bill Clinton right now.
Dios mío.
Democrats can't find other politicians that know how to win in the center of America. And while we're all talking about how extreme Republicans are, Democrats are cloistered on the coasts in a very limited number of counties. It seems they have got to figure out how to win in the middle again.
Well, Joe, there's just a feeling, and you can look
Oh, this nigga is crazy. 140 rolls. Well, I'm crazier than him. I had 248, so it don't matter. This nigga got 140 rolls on his Rubicon.
actually make a go for it in these states. You look at what's happening in
Craziness.
Tennessee, has a very good chance of picking up that Senate seat. Look at in Mississippi, where we just learned
Look crazy. That's a big different story. Look crazy.
Secretary of Agriculture Mike Espy on the show.
See, there they go.
Running for
Selling chroma for 150. You fucking assholes.
and has a pretty incredible name ID for a Democrat in the state that usually just doesn't happen because, again, at the national level, they see looking at a state like Mississippi as a possible pickup opportunity. Steve, now, sorry.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
You, in this book, do you deal with that at all? About how we go from Bill Clinton, who was able to kind of bridge the divide and wasn't a coastal elite. I mean, after all, the man from Hope, Arkansas. How did we get to this point where it became so culturally segregated.
And it's part of the Clinton story. It's fascinating when we think back to the 90s. Part of the legacy of Bill Clinton and his success in the 90s was he was able to straddle that cultural divide. You know, he had that sort of Bubba image. He could win back the ring in Democrats. He could do well, where Joe was talking about. But it was always a very delicate balance because Bill Clinton was also in alliance with the National Democratic Party that was a lot more liberal. When Bill Clinton became president in 1993, the first thing he got sucked into as president, think back 25 years ago, the social dynamics of this country were different.
Yeah, Mason Line 6 says Rhino shit. I got like 70 of them bastards.
A different kind of Democrat who could win those states. To have that be the
I'll start selling them shits. 20 platties.
Set him off as a cultural liberal, a sort of coastal, that sort of track. And you think of Bill Clinton, he won in 92, and he won in 96. In between was the lowest
quick 600 Plat.
at that point, really after the Second World War. Republicans gained control of the House in 1994. They called it the Republican Revolution. Newt Gingrich became the Speaker of the House. Newt Gingrich completed basically a 16-year rise from gadfly backbencher to Speaker of the House. Republicans thought he was something close to a genius at that point. That was the backlash to Bill Clinton not being able to straddle that divide those first couple years. And then the Republicans that, Joe, I think, has some experience there at 95, 96. There was a backlash to Gingrich. And that was sort of the rise of blue America in 96. Bill Clinton's impeachment.
Come on, you cheap bastards. Come by this fucking chroma.
It was just a series of battles and flare-ups and wars. And you look at Al Gore, the legacy of the 1990s.
So he's a bomb. It's like Nidus. Matter of fact, he's better than Nidus. Chroma, he's still a bum. They're both bums, but he's better than Nidus. You don't see nobody taking Nidus to kill Eidolons. You see people taking Chroma to kill Eidolons, though. See? Because he's a bomb. Because he's bomb. This straight up bomb. He sucks. I'm being honest. I'm sarcasm.
Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Al Gore, Chipper Gore, all standing there smiling and waving. And somebody noted, I'm sure you saw it, but somebody noted that 3 of the 4 people on the stage that night were the popular.
That's before I knew he was a bomb.
But only 1.
That's before I knew he was a motherfucking bomb. Once I found out he was a bomb, I haven't played with that nigga again. I regret buying that nigga. I hate him. I'm gonna delete that nigga and get my credits back. I wish I could have got my former back. That's all I want back. Give me my fucking former back. I don't want this bomb. I wish I could put him up in an orphanage so he could get adopted. I already did. I already did. I'm gonna build another one and sell his ass for credits too again.
And in other respects, his attempt to moderate the party was
Trust me.
failure.
I'm gonna keep building them and just deleting them. He's stupid.
The party of the 1980s in terms of
He's gonna diss him like that. I'm gonna build him. He think he gonna level up. Psych. Soul, nigga. Send you to the orphanage. Put you up for adoption. Oh man, Nidus and Chroma. I'm just gonna keep farming these relics, building them, and then just delete them. I'm not even gonna rank him up because he's stupid. We don't deserve to get leveled up. Bum ass Nidus. He don't deserve it. No respect for that nigga.
Not political people at the White House. It's very simple. If you're looking for the truth and not looking for, a political stamp, then you have people who are trained to do this, to go out and do their investigation. I would be happy to have the time extended. I don't think there should be, a time limit on finding the truth. But if you want to stick with the time limit, that's fine. But let the FBI decide who they're going to interview.
All right, well, let's hope that Jeff Flake, Lisa Murkowski, and Susan Collins heard that, because it certainly makes a heck of a lot of sense. Matt Miller, thank you so much. Coming up next, 2 of our favorite reporters, the Washington Post Bob Costa and Jeremy Peters from the New York Times. will be with us. Of course, everybody's our favorite reporter. Everybody's a winner, and everyone goes home with a trophy. You're watching Morning Chat. We'll be right back. Thanks for...
You stupid. Donald Trump said he fell in love with Kim Jong-un. Yeah, we fell in love. Nigga say you fell in love with Kim Jong-un.
Jim, he likes me. I guess that's okay. Am I allowed to say that? That was a big, big problem. And you know the interesting, when I did it, and I was really being tough, and so was he. We would go back and forth, and then we fell in love. Okay? No, really. He wrote me beautiful letters, and they're great letters. We fell in love. Yeah, he wrote these beautiful letters to Donald Trump, and the ink.
That's our president, nigga.
The consistency of blood. He was very romantic.
Maybe Kim can get him a little spot and a good
I didn't say I love him.
see how his love feels.
I don't love him.
Joe,
I love to put a bullet in his head. I don't love that nigga.
Trump and Kim, we're in love. And at first,
Nigga said we're in love. That nigga's crazy. I can't believe that. This nigga retarded.
I would be totally happy.
I gotta text my boy about this because this nigga's retarded.
And you just can't imagine that. Why would he speak about someone who is one of the world's most egregious human rights violators and dictators in chummy terms? It just blows my mind. Every time he does it, he's going to keep doing it.
For 8 years, conservatives like myself were critical of Barack Obama, saying the only relations that have improved with the United States and foreign powers were with dictators in Iran and Cuba. And again, I just can't imagine if Barack Obama had ever said anything remotely like this. So you have Donald Trump in love with Kim and Vladimir Putin in Helsinki. Trump supporters of the Republican Party absolutely have no shame if they don't criticize this guy.
No, I mean, you can go down the list of who are the biggest hypocrites in the modern day Republican Party. And it's amazing that you have, the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, and his previous stance on talking to Iran, talking to North Korea. And it's amazing what people will give up to, have their place at the foot of power. And I would call it the foot of power because we all know the sting that Donald Trump really holds all of his advisors in.
Yeah. Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories.
You crazy.
But Rachel Mitchell wrote a letter that we all got a hold of last night, talking about how Dr. Ford, despite the feelings that so many feel for her testimony, but Dr. Ford said that evidence doesn't support claims against Kavanaugh. And let me ask you about that, because those that I did speak to this weekend that questioned Dr. Ford's testimony just kept going back to the same thing that probably prosecutors would go back to, which is, that everybody that she mentioned at the scene said it didn't happen. And it wasn't just because they were intimidated by Brett Kavanaugh. Even her longtime friend, who she claims was there with her, said she wasn't there with her. That's certainly something that Rachel Mitchell seized on. I'm curious what you thought about Rachel Mitchell's conclusion and what you think as a prosecutor generally about Dr. Ford's story 3-4 days after the testimony.
Yeah, the issue isn't so much Rachel Mitchell's conclusion as it is to the question and the premise. There is either an unintentional or a deliberate effort to frame this as a criminal prosecution, when in fact it is not. It is much more akin to a job interview. In a criminal prosecution, the standard is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt and a presumption of innocence. And by that standard, she's right. You could not prove a case here. Others have said you couldn't get a warrant because there's no probable cause here. That may be true, but that's not the issue. The issue is this the person that you want to put on our U.S. Supreme Court? If these allegations had come up earlier, before he had been nominated, I am certain he never would have been nominated, because you would say, even if this isn't true, if it's just a credible allegation, we don't need that distraction. We've got this long list of potential candidates. Let's put one of them on the court. Instead, we're locked in this spot where, regardless of what happens, if he's on or he's off, there's going to be these bad feelings, as you talked about. But I think if he's on, it could whisper to the court. You talk about Brett Kavanaugh being too big to fail. I think the counterpoint to that is the court is too big to ruin. And so there's a long list of conservative judges who would take his place.
Right, you just said, though, even if this is not true, but that's what we're trying to get to the bottom of, even if this is not true. And I agree with you. I actually think that if you just look at that moment where he was with Senator Klobuchar and the poor temperament that he showed there were a couple other moments, too, where it does not seem that he was being honest and straightforward about some very simple, some very basic things about getting into Yale and not having any connections there, and some of the terms that he tried to put different meanings to. Yeah, some real concerns are raised there. But the FBI is trying to get as much information about what happened and what did not happen. It does matter, doesn't it, a great deal about whether anybody can figure out whether this happened or not.
Well, if we are going to persist in the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh and not withdraw his name for these other reasons, including those that you mentioned, then yes, I guess it does matter. I think if the Senate is going to make a decision, and I think a big part of it is, millions of women are watching and saying, if this is true, does it matter? And so figuring out whether it's true is the first step in that. It's concerning that, as Frank says, the FBI is feeling handcuffed in this instance. One would hope that even if they've been given an initial list of witnesses, that they'd be permitted to go back and get permission to follow any leads that may emerge from there. I mean, if they talk to the people who were present at the scene and say,
did you go to see this man? Did you find out they had any relics? You didn't, right? See? You ain't no good, man.
Very important thing. So I am hopeful that list of 4 or whatever it is only an initial list, and that they be permitted to conduct any necessary follow-up investigation that they have to. Ordinarily, the FBI isn't told who you get to talk to. They're given a topic, and they're permitted to have free reign to decide who they need to talk to feel that they have fully investigated that topic.
So, Hallie, what can you tell us about the president's attitude towards this FBI investigation? Obviously, this weekend, when Democrats were complaining, he tweeted out that he wanted the FBI to do whatever the FBI wanted to do, follow whatever leads you wanted to follow. That also, Sarah Sanders, I believe, repeated that claim. Other administration officials did. But then we heard senior administration officials saying that, in fact, it is more limited. What can you tell us? What insights can you give us about what the truth is?
So here's where I think we are this morning, Joe. The president, you're right, and his administration, his White House is saying, hey, free reign. That seems to be the word of the day. Let the FBI do whatever they want. Now, the president has tweeted that. He has said it out loud, but that has not apparently trickled down to the rest of the folks who are actually looking into this. A senior U.S. official and another source is telling NBC News that the FBI has not received any kind of updated instructions from the White House. So at this point, there are still questions about what this limited scope means, and that's why Senator Dianne Feinstein has written this letter to Don McGahn, the White House counsel, to FBI Director Christopher Wray, saying, we need more information. I want a copy of what exactly you are supposed to be doing and what you think your mission is, so that we know as well. Barbara said something that struck me as well. She said, if this Kavanaugh nomination moves forward. Let me tell you this, Joe. Based on my reporting, there's no if in the mind of the president. There's no if in the eyes of the White House. There is not a backup plan here. Multiple sources have told me over the last 4 days or so that it's not like the president is sitting around going, all right, let's toss around some names. Who could some backups be? That those conversations really have not happened. Now, that said, remember, he just fairly recently this summer nominated Brett Kavanaugh and went through the interview process with other candidates, so it's not like it's stale in his mind. It's still fairly fresh. But it is notable that you do not have
the White House counsel Don McGahn. You don't have the folks who are involved in the judiciary sitting there coming up with names as a backup. They are all in on Brett Kavanaugh. All of their eggs are in the Kavanaugh basket. They think this thing's going forward, and he's going to end up on the court.
All right, Hallie Jackson, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you being here. And John Heilman, first of all, if you're in the position of Donald Trump or the position of somebody in the White House, what do you say? There is no backup plan. Correct. That puts more pressure on Susan Collins. That puts more pressure on Murkowski. That puts more pressure on every Republican flake that's wavering to basically say, listen, here's the deal. We can have a conservative court if you pick Kavanaugh, but if you don't pick Kavanaugh, we're going to be tied 4-4 until after the 2020 election. So that's a very compelling argument. I don't believe it for a second. What about you?
Well, look, it's not clear that there's time, at least between now and the midterms, for there to be. There was another possibility right there. They could put another name up. But right now, it seems to me, in addition to the point you're making, Joe, which is that, of course, you say there's no backup. On top of that, I think the White House is starting to recognize that the politics of this are playing to its favor. That if Judge Kavanaugh were to go down, much of the Republican base, if you believe that this is a base mobilization election, that the only hope the Republicans have is to motivate the Trump base to turn out in large numbers, that right now Judge Kavanaugh and what they perceive as his unfair treatment in this process is a motivating factor. The court helped Donald Trump in 2016, the campaign for the court, and the court could help him again in this context. So, in some
New
sense,
alert marked on navigation, Tenno.
whether Judge Kavanaugh gets confirmed or not, sticking with Judge Kavanaugh is an important base motivation strategy. But I want to come back to the question I'm going to ask you, but I also really want to hear from Frank Figluzzi and from Barbara about this. The fundamental question still about this FBI investigation, which has not, to my mind, been satisfied. Forget about even the questions. You guys have raised great questions about the scope of what the FBI is allowed to do if they're investigating questions of sexual misconduct. Here's another question. Is perjury an issue that the FBI is allowed to be investigating? There are many people who look at Judge Kavanaugh and his testimony last week and say it looks like he lied about a wide variety of things under oath in front of this committee. So is the FBI now allowed to investigate?
Hey, John, can I list some of those things?
Well, certainly.
You just said he committed perjury. List them.
Well, certainly there are many people who think that he lied about. You mentioned a large number. You said there are a lot of small things. Certainly, the question of his drinking, for instance, he has made many assertions that there are witnesses now, including his roommates at Yale and other places, who've said that he was in fact a blackout drunk in college. The things that he claimed in front of the committee when he was in colloquy with, for example, Senator Klobuchar, that he denied outright about he said he admitted he liked beer, and he said that he occasionally drank too much, but he said that he tried to circumscribe that and say that he was kind of basically your average beer-drinking guy.
Right. All right.
He made some pretty strong claims there that have been contradicted by people who are named people all around the record right now.
We got number one. Go to number two. What else do you think he perjured himself?
I don't have a list here, although I'd be happy to make one for you for a later block. But I think there are questions that have been raised even earlier in the confirmation hearings, Joe, about, for example, his work at the White House. Democrats have made an issue about that in the early phases of the confirmation hearing, about whether or not he had been truthful about various activities that he undertook when he was in the White House on various legal and political matters. They were already concerned about perjury even before we got to the question of sexual misconduct. So I do think there are people on the Democratic side who believe that the judge on matters large and small has demonstrated a looseness with the truth. And so the question to me is that an issue for the FBI or not?
Let's take it to Frank, and I'm only trying to move this along because Alex is screaming in my ear. Move it along, idiot, is what Frank, my EP is saying. So Frank, I got to ask you a question. But look, first of all, perjury, is that something that the FBI would look into?
So the answer is yes, but only if the victim of that perjury, the Congress, right, the charge of lying to Congress, they need to be the complainant. They need to say, we want you looking into this. And I'm telling you, Joe, the FBI has not been asked to do that.
All right, Frank, one other quick question. And maybe this is just a failure of character on my part. But I usually, if the president, if I'm an FBI agent and the president of the United States says I give him free reign, They can investigate whatever they want to. I'm going to blow through the doors. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. I'm going to question whoever I want to question. I'm going to push. I'm going to go over every line that's out there. And then when I'm called to task and say, but wait, the President of the United States said this, and this. Are there some FBI agents that may do that?
No, here's what I'm hearing is quite the opposite, which is that they have written orders that are about, an inch long. And they don't take orders by tweet. They don't take orders by press conference. They have written orders from the White House. So what the president is saying to the American public is quite different than what the White House is providing in writing to the FBI.
All right, so Barbara, let's get really specific here. If you could guide the FBI agents that are investigating these incidents, and
From where?
Kavanaugh's testimony, Dr. Ford's testimony, what is the one area, what is the weak point of Brett Kavanaugh's case? Where would you point FBI officials and say, I really want you to narrow in this area and push hard?
Look where you are.
The first place I would look would be to talk to Mark Judge. He is the person that Dr. Ford puts in the room. I would want to know what he has to say and lock him into that story. But to Frank's point, what's so important is to not just talk to him, but then to talk to leads. Who else did he talk to about this incident? Who else was there? There's talk about a former girlfriend. Did he make statements to anyone else about this? In the past month, has he talked to Brett Kavanaugh or others about what his story would be if questioned by the FBI? So I would push there, but what's important is you don't just talk to him, you talk to those around him to find out if what he's telling you is truthful.
All right. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you, Frank. We greatly appreciate you being with us. And thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.
Mrs. Karen Walker, she's been missing for the past... That's what you're telling all of these women. That's what you're telling me right now. Look at me when I'm talking to you. You're telling me that my soul doesn't matter. Do you think that he's telling the truth? Do you think that he's telling the truth to the country? You have power when so many women are powerless.
Good morning and welcome to AM Joy. Well, less than 1 hour after that powerful moment, when two survivors of sexual assault confronted Senator Jeff Flake in an elevator over his support of Brett Kavanaugh. And by the way, we will be joined by one of those women later in the show. Flake kind of shocked the world, revising the pledge that he made just hours before to vote yes on Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court nomination. Huddling with two of his Democratic colleagues, Senators Amy Klobuchar and Chris Coons, and joining Democratic calls for an FBI investigation before any Kavanaugh vote in the full Senate.
This is what I'm trying to do. This country's being ripped apart here, and we've got to make sure that we do due diligence. I think this committee has done a good job, but I do think that we can have a short pause and make sure that the FBI can investigate.
The investigation that Flake requested into credible sexual misconduct allegations against Kavanaugh is now underway. The White House has said it will be, quote, limited in scope and completed in less than 1 week. But on that scope question, it's not entirely clear what that means. Will the investigation be confined to the allegations from Dr. Christine Blasey Ford? Or will it include the allegations made by any of the other women who have accused Brett Kavanaugh of sexual misconduct? Michael Avenatti, who by now should be very familiar to you, represents a woman who could potentially be interviewed by the FBI as a witness. Julie Swetnick claims that she witnessed Kavanaugh participating in sexual misconduct when he was a high school student at Georgetown Preparatory School in the 1980s. The allegations are disturbing, involving alleged gang rape of women who had been rendered disoriented by alcohol. Now, to be clear, Ms. Swetnick has not accused Kavanaugh of committing any crimes against her. And Kavanaugh has strongly denied the allegations. Joining me now is Michael Avenatti, attorney for Julie Swetnick. And Michael, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
So let's talk about your client's allegations. She submitted a sworn affidavit, which you originally wanted to result in her being questioned by the committee. That didn't happen. But has she been contacted by or contacted the FBI to be part of this reopened investigation?
Not yet, Joy. You know, we've been asking for a full FBI investigation now for days. We want my client to be called by the FBI. She wants to sit down with FBI agents to tell her story, to tell them the facts and the circumstances that she witnessed, to tell them what happened to her. And we're waiting for the FBI to contact her. Now, I was pleased to see what happened yesterday afternoon, that the committee vote proceeded. However, there's a 1-week delay. But I want to tell you this, I'm very concerned about this scope question. And when I hear people throw around things like, well, the FBI is going to investigate credible allegations. Well, hold on a minute. The FBI is supposed to determine what's credible or not. And if they don't get a chance, or if they're told
there's a time-limited mission alert available.
then
Check
how can
navigation.
they determine whether an allegation is credible or not? So I'm hopeful that this investigation is going to be thorough. I'm hopeful that it is going to include my client's allegations, which, as you stated, were made in a sworn declaration under oath. They absolutely should interview my client, and I'm hopeful that all the facts are going to be known ultimately to the American people. But if the FBI does not meet with my client or question her, then I think that's going to call into question who told the FBI not to meet with her.
Well, so your client, to be clear, Julie Swetnick, is claiming that she attended parties during the early 1980s when she was a high school student that included boys from Georgetown Prep, including Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh. According to Julie Swetnick, there were girls who were being inebriated with alcohol, rendered unconscious, and then essentially run trains on, to use the colloquial term, gang rape. She said this happened to her. She's not saying that Michael Avenatti did it. Michael Avenatti did it. She's not saying that Brett Kavanaugh did it. But Michael, you said that she's got corroborating witnesses, that these parties included boys that were high school and college boys. Do you have names of those witnesses that you are now submitting to the FBI?
Well, we have names of a number of the witnesses, and I've spoken to a number of the witnesses, and we are anxious to submit those names to the FBI. Joy, I want to be clear. I urge everyone that's watching your show and everyone in America that is interested in this issue, this confirmation, to go and actually read the 3-page declaration that my client signed under penalty of perjury, because it's not just limited to this allegation of women being put through train rapes, etc. It's a broad base. There's a broad basis of facts and evidence.
See, I told you, man, there's something wrong with you, bro. That's the only thing you heard. What's wrong with you, man?
Influence of alcohol towards women. And Joy,
tell me you's a freak, man. Tell me you's a freak.
Media reports, numerous witnesses that have attested to witnessing the same thing. So when you have senators on the Judiciary Committee that want to mock me, want to mock my client, and talk about how absurd this is, they need to go back and look at the article from the Washington Post in the 1990s that described this environment at many of these prep schools. They need to look at the article in the New Yorker. They need to look at the article in Slate magazine, all of which include numerous witnesses that support a version of events very similar to my client. And now let me say this. If the FBI investigation is not curtailed by the White House or others, if they are permitted to do their job as they do every day in this country, Brett Kavanaugh will not survive this process. He will not. If they are permitted to interview witnesses that know of these allegations, there is no way that Brett Kavanaugh will be placed on the U.S. Supreme Court, nor should he.
I'm going to bring a panel in a second, but I have just a couple quick more questions, two quick questions for you, Michael, before I bring the panel in. Question number one, Beth Wilkinson, who's Judge Kavanaugh's lawyer, has said, she said on CNN, she denied the allegations that your client has made against Brett Kavanaugh. And she said that your client could have just gone directly to the police with these allegations and still could. Did these alleged crimes take place in Montgomery County? And will your client attempt to file a police report about them now?
She may very well pursue criminal charges against the individuals involved, Joy. And I think as my client's story is told by my client here shortly, America is going to learn the details surrounding what happened and exactly what she did at the time. There are witnesses that she confided in contemporaneous with what transpired. So we're talking about decades ago, and confided in them about what transpired. And I think that goes to support her credibility. And let me say this about Ms. Wilkinson and her client, Brett Kavanaugh. I have offered that if Ms. Wilkinson would like to cross-examine my client for 8 hours under oath in a videotaped deposition, I'm more than happy to make her available, provided that she'll grant me the same opportunity with her client, Brett Kavanaugh. In fact, I'll take half the time, Joy. I'll take 4 hours with Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh is a liar. He is not credible. In fact, if you look at the Fox News interview, you look at his testimony before the committee, it's absolutely absurd, especially in light of the entries in the yearbook from his high school days. We all went to high school. We all know what that looked like. We all, or many of us, know what the prep school environment looked like in the Washington, D.C. area, as evidenced by a number of these articles. Brett Kavanaugh is lying to the committee. He's lying to the American people, and it's just not believable. He's lied about a number of things, quite honestly, that he didn't need to lie about.
Michael, I'm going to ask you to stay with me. I want to bring in my panel. Jill Wine-Banks, the former Assistant Watergate Special Prosecutor, Ryan Wiley, legal analyst for MSNBC, Mimi Roca, also a legal analyst for MSNBC, and Corinne Jean-Pierre, Senior Advisor at MoveOn.org. We have a power panel this morning, so I want to just throw it open to the table here. Any responses to what the Julie Swetnick allegations and what they might do, how they might play in, I'll start with the community on how they might play into this FBI investigation?
Well, I'd like to start with a question, Michael, because I think it's important to clarify something. Michael, you're a great lawyer, and I'm sure this affidavit is worded very carefully. And there's a statement in there that I've heard some people debating. You know, she says, I think it's paragraph 13. In approximately 1982, I became the victim of one of these gang or train rapes where Mark Judge and Brett Kavanaugh were present. Now, I was with you on TV the other day, and you clarified that you were saying that they actually participated in that gang rape, I believe. But that isn't exactly what... No? Okay, then I misunderstood you, so I want to clarify.
That's not what I've said, and I've been asked a number of questions about this paragraph 13. You know, I wish people would concentrate on many of the other paragraphs in the Declaration because they are equally damning to Brett Kavanaugh, and those other paragraphs in and of themselves, if true, would render him unable to be confirmed for the U.S. Supreme Court. No, I know that, but I'm going to answer that question.
This is a serious allegation, and a lot of people have
I'm going to answer it. I'm going to answer it, as I've answered it over the last 4 days. There are facts that suggest to her that he was involved. There are facts that suggest to her that he was not involved. This is not as
I had to sell him for 140, yo.
And people might say, well, why is that, or how is that? Well, because she was under the influence of alcohol and or drugs involuntarily, and she does not know with great certainty exactly what happened. That's why these girls were able to be taken advantage of by these boys at these parties. That was the MO. That was the process. That's how they went about taking advantage of these girls. But this idea that that this declaration is not to be believed, well, we don't know whether it's to be believed. It's been submitted under penalty of perjury, and we want these allegations tested appropriately pursuant to a proper FBI investigation.
And just to be clear, I was certainly not saying that I don't believe it, and I just want a clarification, and your explanation makes a lot of sense to me, actually.
And you know, I want to go to my own question about this, because the Montgomery County District Attorney has indicated an openness to hear a criminal complaint related to these crimes. I don't think there's a statute of limitations on rape, right?
There's no statute of limitations on felony rape or sexual assault.
So in theory, if Ms. Swetnick or if anyone who believes that crimes were committed against them in Montgomery County were to go forward though we just saw Bill Cosby was convicted and sentenced to 3 to 10 years for events that took place years earlier. So in theory, this
That's fucked up. You don't even know who Bill Cosby is, nigga.
criminal
You don't know Bill Cosby.
Any person who has an allegation that someone has sexually assaulted, attempted rape, or raped them has the ability to go and file a criminal complaint. That's true if these events happened in Maryland, which
Crazy old man,
in
yo.
this case.
This is
Obviously,
crazy.
that is an option open to them. And I think this is critically important to distinguish between what the Senate Judiciary Committee is supposed to be doing. Right. Because part of what's been so problematic about the hearing process is that, and this I think also goes directly to Mr. Avenatti's point, the question is how credible is he, and is there reason to be concerned? Not whether there's evidence that would convict
I don't
him
know.
of a
Oh, Avenatti, he's the lawyer.
whether to seat him in a Supreme Court seat. So the fact that this declaration, there's a witness who says actually the conduct and behavior that he is denying is actually conduct and behavior that I myself witnessed is relevant. And I think Mr. Avenatti's absolutely right to draw attention to that point. The question I have, because it's problematic to me that the committee has been treating it this way, is it's almost like if you can't say you actually saw him attack someone, it is not
Alright,
sufficient
I'm gonna start selling
to
Rhino
make a
sets
question whether
too.
he should
Fuck
be a
this.
Supreme Court justice. That's a problem. That's just wrong. And but that's why my question for Mr. Avenatti is: are any of the witnesses able to corroborate that any physically violent behavior towards a woman? Because although I believe it should be sufficient to actually corroborate the kind of behavior you're talking about, it seems to me that the problem with the politics here is that the committee is looking for more direct evidence. So I'm just curious about the witness list in that regard.
Yes, my client and other witnesses can state unequivocally that they saw Brett Kavanaugh engage in inappropriate physical contact, groping, grabbing, other aggressive sexual behavior towards women personally. They will be able to attest to that, and I think it's laid out in the declaration, as well as conduct, as well as, and this is part of my frustration, because everybody just wants to go to paragraph 13, and everybody wants to avoid the paragraphs above paragraph 13. Everybody wants to focus on the train rape allegation, as if that's the only allegation in the entire declaration that matters. Let's also back up and remember this. Let's remember 1991. 1991 was about an allegation by Anita Hill of sexual harassment, and the chief focus in that hearing was the allegation of a pubic hair on a Coke can and a comment by then Judge Thomas. That was the focus as to whether he should be put on the court for making a comment generally about a pubic hair on a Coke can. Now, fast forward to this point in time in our history. At the height of the Me Too movement, we're talking about something far more important or far more extensive than a pubic hair on a Coke can. We're talking about Dr. Ford's testimony. We're talking about Ms. Ramirez's allegation. We're talking about my client's allegation. We're talking about other allegations of physical, inappropriate sexual contact by Judge Kavanaugh, which should render them unable and not able to be confirmed on the U.S. Supreme Court. All of these women are not making it up. They all just meet at the local Starbucks and have a secret meeting and conspire to derail this nomination. They're not all lying while the choir boy, Brett Kavanaugh, is telling the truth. It's just not possible.
Very quickly before I bring in my other panelists, Michael, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Draft has made a lot of hay about the fact that they didn't need to have an FBI investigation because the Senate had its own investigators. Did those investigators contact you, and did you deem, if you did have interactions with them, that to be an aggressive, potentially thorough investigation in itself?
We asked for an FBI investigation. We asked for an opportunity to take a polygraph exam, and Brett Kavanaugh would take one. We asked for our judge to be subpoenaed. None of that was addressed. They refused to get back to us in connection with those requests for days. They blew us off, Joy, all day Monday. They blew us off all day Tuesday.
Blew us off? What kind of shit is that?
After we released the declaration, well, we'd like her to meet with 2 investigators from the committee. Now, as you know, Dr. Ford declined that, and we declined it, and the reason is because these investigators, in our view, were part of the majority leadership. They're not unbiased, and we want this investigation done by professionals. We want it done by members of the FBI. And in my experience, and I'm sure others on the panel will support me on this, when individuals are fabricating stories, they don't readily admit or welcome FBI agents to sit down and speak with them about those allegations because, of course, lying to an FBI agent is a very serious offense and is punishable by imprisonment.
Yeah, I want to go to Jill Weinberg on that very point because you had the Senate Judiciary Chairman, Chuck Grassley, insisting that an investigation by the majority investigators that was not even participated by the Democrats, so the 11 Senate Republicans had their own investigation they said they were doing that they said was sufficient to determine these claims. But the majority was already on board to confirm Kavanaugh. So is that normal? I mean, it didn't seem normal in the moment, but was it normal?
No, it isn't normal and it isn't fair. They are clearly demonstrating they had no interest in the truth. This was never a search for truth. If it was, they would have allowed other witnesses to testify. They would have allowed the FBI to investigate. They would not have set a 5-minute limit on questions, which was absurd. You cannot develop evidence in a 5-minute segment of questions. They would have the courage to do the questioning themselves and not use the show of having a woman brought in who was a sex crime prosecutor to do the questioning.
Well, they yanked as soon as she started to ask questions. They did
one wrong question. All they did was she asked the question that could have led to something really interesting about the July 1st, where all the people that Dr. Blasey Ford said were at the scene of the crime, all of a sudden she was silenced. This is not a search for truth. And they've already announced exactly what they are expecting the outcome to be. We're going to push this through. He's going to be confirmed.
All right, Bob, let me go heat up my coffee. I'll be right back.
Let them confirm one way or the other who's telling the truth. Let's look at Ramirez. Let's look at Swetnick. We need to hear all of the witnesses. His college roommate said he was often drunk. Yeah, we need to look at his history of drinking and whether his outburst on the day of the hearing Thursday shows that he is still a mean alcoholic. Yeah, because there was nothing judicial about his behavior on that day. That disqualifies him right there.
In fact, one of Ms. Swetnick's allegations is that he was a mean drunk. That he drunk
as a mean drunk.
I have a White House question for you because you did work for the Obama White House, the Obama administration. The White House was they're the only ones who could have ordered this FBI investigation. So again, is this normal question? The fact that they delayed so long, the fact that they resisted so long having this investigation, does that say to you, the White House wavering in terms of the credibility of Kavanaugh?
He got away with it. He's the president of the United States. Look what he does. He stands with the men and attacks the women. He was never going to order that if his hands weren't tied the way that they were.
I have one more question for Michael Avenatti because we're already to the end of the segment, but you are very deft. You're very deft at utilizing both the courts as well as media. And if your witnesses, if your client are not afforded the opportunity to be a part of this limited scope investigation, would they all go public? Can we expect to hear from your client and your witnesses in a public setting? Or any of those witnesses, I'll put in my bid for that. I know that you guys are going to be looking for a venue. You're welcome to always come back here. Michael Avenatti, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Again, you my panel with me there will be with me after the break. And after the break, we will also be joined by one of the women who confronted Senator Jeff Flake on that elevator on Capitol Hill. Dramatic moment, a turning point in the debate over this Supreme Court nomination. Stay with us.
Beginning this morning with the FBI investigation that was supposed to help clear up the fate of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Instead, things seem to be getting more and more confusing by the day. I have a great team here to help break all of it down, but first, I want to bring you up to speed on what specifically is happening today. The U.S. Supreme Court kicks off its new term just one justice short. Judge Brett Kavanaugh, the president's pick to be the 9th justice, remains in a state of limbo as the FBI looks into allegations of sexual misconduct. The
president told them to reopen their background check after it became clear Kavanaugh did not have the votes to get him confirmed. But 3 days in, it has been difficult to figure out exactly what's going on. So here's what we know. The only official description of how this investigation would be carried out came from the Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, who said it would be a 1-week-long investigation and limited solely to, quote, current credible allegations against the judge. That's very vague. And all weekend, people have been trying to understand exactly what that means. NBC has confirmed that the White House has authorized the FBI to interview just 4 people. They include Mark Judge, who Dr. Christine Blasey Ford says was in the room when she alleges Kavanaugh assaulted her, Leyland Kaiser, a high school friend of Ford's, who is said to have attended that specific party, P.J. Smith, who Ford also says was at the party, and Deborah Ramirez, who accused Kavanaugh of exposing himself during a separate incident when the two were students at Yale. Kavanaugh has denied all of these allegations, and we know the FBI has spoken to Ramirez on Sunday. And NBC News has learned of one of Kavanaugh's former Yale classmates, Chad Ludington. He also plans to speak with the FBI. He says Brett drank heavily in college, became belligerent and aggressive. On Saturday, the president said the FBI, they can talk to anyone they want.
They have free reign. They're going to do whatever they have to do, whatever it is they do. They'll be doing things that we never even thought of. And hopefully at the conclusion, everything will be fine.
What does that even mean? Things we haven't even thought of. But multiple sources say that is not correct. The president not telling the truth. NBC News was first to report that Kavanaugh's third accuser, Julie Swetnick, not on the list. And they say that the FBI has not received authorization to speak to college classmates who have specifically contradicted Kavanaugh's account of how much he drank or how high school classmates could explain references in Kavanaugh's yearbook. On Sunday, White House aides insisted that the administration is not micromanaging the process.
The president very much respects the independence of the FBI and feels, as he said last night, that they should be looking at anything that they think is credible within this limited scope.
What does that mean, the limited scope?
Well, that's up to the FBI.
The White House counsel has allowed the Senate to dictate what these terms look like and what the scope of the investigation is. Again, the White House isn't intervening. We're not micromanaging this process. This is something, it's a Senate process. It has been from the beginning, and we're letting the Senate continue to dictate what the terms look like.
Remember, the FBI is only conducting this investigation because the White House asked them to, and providing guidance in situations like this is standard operating procedure. New York Times says, quote, it is not unusual for the White House to specify the scope of a request for additional background information on a nominee. No evidence has emerged that the White House has forbidden any investigative steps, and President Trump has said he wants agents to interview whoever they deem appropriate at their discretion. But it appears that if agents want to go beyond the original list of witnesses, the FBI can only do so if the White House counsel agrees. Democrats say the administration is unfairly influencing this investigation.
They cannot say, oh, hey, only interview the people in their neighborhood on one side of the street, or only interview people from a certain period of their life. You let the men and women of the FBI, the professionals, do their jobs.
The president responded in a tweet saying, quote, wow, just starting to hear the Democrats who are only thinking obstruct and delay are starting to put out the word that the time and scope the FBI are looking into Judge Kavanaugh and witnesses is not enough. Hello, for them, it will never be enough. Stay tuned and watch. So all of this leaves the president, the judge, the Republicans, and the country in a very difficult spot. There's no guarantee that this one-week investigation is going to provide any clear answers as to the allegations against Judge Kavanaugh. Republican Jeff Flake, who started this whole thing on Friday, was asked about that very thing on 60 Minutes.
What are the chances that we are going to be in exactly this same place a week from now?
There's a chance, and we knew that, and some of our colleagues said that. We'll be back here 1 week from now. It'll be worse. There'll be other outrageous allegations that come forward. The FBI will talk to people that won't want to talk anymore. We won't be any better off. There is a chance that will happen. I do think that we can make progress.
He may be right. We'll soon find out.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me. Or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.
We began that there would be moments of drama, and there have been. Through it all, Ambassador Lighthizer has been a professional, reliable, and trustworthy counterpart. And I can say, especially after the past few weeks of very intense negotiations, what we called our continuous negotiation, he's someone I consider a friend. Thank you, Bob. Mexico's Secretary Defonso Guajardo has likewise been a valued and respected counterpart, and I consider him to be a friend too. Muchas gracias, Ildefonso. So, here's what today's agreement will achieve. Tout d'abord, et c'est la chose la plus importante, il maintient le libre-échange à l'échelle du continent nord-américain, ainsi que l'accès au sein du marché régional d'une valeur de 25 000 milliards de dollars, qui compte 470 millions de personnes et dont la taille a triplé depuis la création de l'ALENA en 1993. En même temps,
I thought you said you speak Spanish. That's Spanish right there. You don't speak no Spanish.
She is speaking in French. So we are going to take a quick break. When they go back to English, we'll bring that to you. Stick around. We'll be right back.
See?
Facebook's head of global safety, Antigone Davis, joins us now. Tell us about the charges that Facebook actively tries to get people addicted.
There is a new push to crack down on scammers targeting elderly Americans. Mark Tortellini is chairman and CEO of Aetna. Is this going to bring down the cost of prescription drugs?
Yo, are you on Cetus, man? Can you check what relics they got on Cetus, man? Fucking, hey, man. Never want to do nothing, man.
Well, earlier I spoke with Bobby Carlton.
They got, man. Just want to stay home. We don't want to go to school. Here we got an excuse.
And the Innovate Women media
Come on,
platform.
man.
It helps entrepreneurs find.
An epic new documentary that explores a special bond between humans and dogs. For over 20,000 years, they've helped us hunt and find food, protected us from danger, and now live in our homes as part of our families. But what do we know about dogs? Where did they come from? And how have they become so important to our lives? From pariah dogs in India, who protect their owners' banana plantations from monkeys, to Kenyan bloodhounds, who are trained to track ivory poachers, and discover how remarkable alliances between man and dog are still being formed today. The epic story of the everlasting friendship between man and dog.
Of course.
We have new questions about who's actually pulling the strings when it comes to the FBI's one-week inquiry into the sexual assault allegations against Supreme Court nominee.
I don't know. I'm in my dojo right now.
The FBI has
I can't even check.
he called this investigation a blessing in disguise. But sources tell CNN White House counsel Don McGahn is working with Senate Republicans behind the
I
scenes.
got the Umbro mods on him, I know that.
Investigation scope as much as possible. And here's what we have just learned. As of right now, neither Kavanaugh nor Christine Blasey Ford, woman who testified Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed, groped her, and tried to take off her clothes in 1982, is expected to be interviewed by the FBI as part of this reopened background check.
not include Kavanaugh's overall drinking history, which has come up in these allegations, and agents who take their direction from the White House will not be making a conclusion about witnesses and what witnesses actually said. Instead, the White House will get the results, and they will decide how to proceed. No guarantee the investigation will be made public. For more, I want to bring in former federal prosecutor Ellie Connigan. And Ellie, I want to get your quick reaction to this new information that Ford and Kavanaugh may not even be interviewed.
Seriously problematic. 2 reasons. First of all, you need to practice when we start facing our official implications. And from here, we're not going to get the entire story.
Happy birthday, just saying. Happy birthday.
And believe that it's real and true and legitimate and hasn't been influenced by politicians.
When you go through a piece you just wrote for CNN.com, you say this investigation really, at the very least, needs to focus on 3 key things. We start with interview with Mark Judge, who was the person that Ford
You're welcome, baby.
was the other man in the room when she alleged this assault happened.
I'm talking to somebody else.
He's the person that he said. And we have from Judge at this point these letters from Judge's lawyer that sent 1-pagers to the Senate Judiciary Committee where he says, I do not recall the events described. That's not really an answer. Kavanaugh tried to stretch that in his hearing and say it's a refutation of that report. It's really not. In fact, be consistent with that report because we know the judge has an addiction problem. If he was intoxicated when memory loss, it's not only not inconsistent with what that report should actually could support her account of the story because she says they were both really drunk. And so a 1-page statement doesn't get you anywhere. He needs to
What's up, Swap Me?
go deeper than 1 page and ask him questions about his own drinking and about Kavanaugh's drinking. Kavanaugh's drinking is incredibly important here because, again, if it's established that he was a heavy drinker to the point of memory loss, it supports that report. That's great. And it seriously undermines Kavanaugh's defense. And he could have committed perjury. There was the famous exchange with Senator Klobuchar where she asked him, do you ever drink to the point of blackout? When you see someone evade, like the way that Kavanaugh evaded, that is a flashing red light. He's a smart guy. He's a judge. He's been in that question-answer scenario. Usually he's the one asking the questions.
The other thing, though, Kavanaugh, right? Kavanaugh was the other thing that I read in the piece in which Mark Judge would be asked, is that referring to Brett Kavanaugh?
Yeah, they asked Kavanaugh that at the Senate. He said, what do I know? I didn't write it, but ask Judge. And I don't know how.
Operator, the system needs you. Will you begin another mission?
And apparently, Bart Kavanaugh threw up in somebody's car and passed out, according to Mark Judge's account. You also say up next they need to interview witnesses to Ford's prior statement.
Yes.
Explain.
So this is really important. Dr. Ford told people, 5 different people, 3 friends, her husband, and her therapist, about this attack as far back as 2012 up to 2017. And so the question is, in what we call this prior consistent statement, and it has a lot of probative value. The question, the logical question is, why on earth would she make this up 6 years ago and start telling people in serious settings what happened? So the FBI should speak with each of these people, corroborate it or disprove it, see if they stand by it. Are there any notes or emails? Because if in fact Dr. Ford did tell these people, that's a powerful corroboration for her. And if she did not, or it doesn't stand up, then you have to ask, why did she submit this in the first place?
Okay, number 3, then you point to Kavanaugh's calendar entry. This is from July 1st, 1982, which reads, go to Timmy's for skis with Judge, Tom, PJ, Birdie, and Squeak. Tell us more about that.
This is as close to a Perry Mason moment as we might ever have. Rachel Mitchell, who was the hired outside prosecutor, started to go down this road with Kavanaugh, and she sort of pulled up, and then they pulled her. She never asked another question after that. But this calendar entry matches to a large extent, not entirely, but it matches Dr. Ford's testimony. She said the people at the party were Kavanaugh, Judge, TJ, and a 4th person whose name I don't remember. There's a couple more. Senator Grassley said it's not the right number of people, but remember, Dr. Ford said this was a pre-gathering, so other people could have come over. So the FBI needs to drill down. They can find Timmy's house. They already know where it is. It's fairly close to that country club. They can look at the
alert marked on navigation.
Testimony. And if so, that's powerful corroboration for her.
Ellie Honig, such interesting conversation. Thank you for your insight and expertise. Joining us now, CNN political commentator Scott Jennings. He worked with Kavanaugh during the Bush administration, and also with us, CNN political commentator Nina Turner. She's a former Democratic state senator from Ohio. So, Scott, the fact that Kavanaugh and Ford may not be interviewed, the fact that they're not looking at his drinking history, when this investigation is over, are the American people going to have faith in this investigation?
Well, they should have faith in the investigation because this is what the Democrats demanded. I don't know whether they're going to interview Ford.
Yes, Nicholas. PS4
Both
popping.
said they would cooperate with an investigation. I think we ought to let the FBI.
Cobra Prime just came out like 4 or 5 days ago, so I'm just trying to sell his sets. Trying to make a little bit of Plat. I need the Plat.
Translate it for you. It's I want delay. I want this to last as long as possible so we can get past the election, maybe win the election, and hold this thing open for 2 years. This is not an investigation that is designed to dig into everything that he wants to dig into. This is a supplemental background check demanded by the Democrats, acquiesced to, in my opinion, wrongly by the Republicans.
Pretty soon we'll be able to share. At least that's the promise.
They should be looking into a supplemental background check, which
I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's going to be a bad thing.
He was just talking about what could help give us the truth, no?
The truth here is whether or not Brett Kavanaugh, in the form of an FBI background check or his supplemental background check, is a suitable nominee. They don't draw conclusions about uncorroborated allegations. They don't draw conclusions. They're not going to resolve this in Kavanaugh's favor or in Dr. Ford's favor. They're going to offer a report on whether any additional investigation in the process of a background check changes, what people might think. They don't draw conclusions, and I think people want them to draw conclusions, but that is not the result of a process like this, which is why, of course, Democrats are already trashing what they demanded. They wanted an FBI investigation, and they're already trashing it because they don't want the results. They just want delay.
Let me read President Trump's tweet to that point. He writes, wow, just starting to hear the Democrats who are only thinking obstruct and delay are starting to put out the word that the time and scope of FBI looking into Judge Kavanaugh and witnesses is not enough. Hello, then it will never be enough. Stay tuned and watch. You know your response?
Well, good God, nobody's asking for delay. People are asking for justice. Dr. Ford has leveled a very strong allegation. We know that what she said in her testimony certainly triggered millions of people across this country, both men and women, to think in a deeper way about what has not only happened to her, but what has happened to countless women across the ages, across the generations. So just to trivialize this like Scott is doing is really shameful. The fact of the matter is that the FBI should be allowed to conduct the investigation and let the chips fall where they may. And you would think that the judge would want this to happen so that the FBI can dig deeper and either clear him or not clear him in terms of those allegations, but to limit the scope, to limit the numbers of people who are interviewed is absolutely wrong. So this should not necessarily be seen through a purely partisan lens. Thank God that Senator Flake had the courage to say, let's pull this back a little bit and let the FBI do its job. It should have been done even before it got to this point.
So let's listen to Senator Jeff Flake, who, again, was sort of the person who made this investigation happen, his last-minute demand to have this investigation. He sat down with an interview with Chris Coons, Democratic colleague in the Senate. This is for 60 Minutes. Let's listen.
I was really struck. I thought his anger got the best of him, and he made a partisan argument that would have been best left to be made for his advocates and defenders on the committee.
Made you wonder about his suitability?
In my case, yes, it made me wonder about his suitability.
But Senator Flake, you identified with it. You understood.
Well, the part that you talked about, the mention of the Clintons and whatnot,
I didn't like either.
It seemed partisan, but boy, I have to put myself in that spot. I think we gave him a leeway there.
So when you heard Kavanaugh say the allegations were revenge on behalf of the Clintons, did that sound like someone who had the temperament of a Supreme Court justice?
Well, it sounded like someone to me who was pretty darn upset about being called a rapist, an attempted murderer, a gang rapist, running some gang rape ring in high school. It sounded like someone to me who was up there to defend his honor. And let's be honest, it is about revenge. I'm not sure it's about revenge for the Clintons, but it's about revenge for Merrick Garland, and it's about protecting Roe versus Wade. And I'm not going to respond to Senator Turner's insult, calling me shameful and humming, but I am going to tell you what is shameful. Dianne Feinstein sitting on this for 2 months, and then outing Dr. Ford
who have absolutely been shameful in their behavior in this whole confirmation. It's been utterly ridiculous.
Give me a break. I mean, the same party that sit up there and denied President Obama the ability to have even his nominee have a hearing with the Senate. Listen, some people might be playing political games with this, but others are not. And the American people deserve better than what they have gotten up until this point. And to trivialize a woman's testimony about
Thanks for the sub, baby.
Welcome back, and pay attention to this story because it really is a tragedy unfolding in Indonesia. Rescuers there digging through destroyed buildings, through huge mounds of debris for any survivors. This after Friday's monstrous earthquake and the disastrous tsunami that followed that earthquake. At least 844 people are now dead in the city of Palu, with the death toll expected to climb much higher.
Just look at those images. We've got hundreds of victims that they're burying right now in these mass graves. They're trying to prevent the spread of disease. And then if you missed it over the weekend, stop and look at this video. This is the moment when that tsunami wave 10 feet high is rushing in, slamming into the coast of Palu. Let's go to our Matt Rivers.
You can smell from what we talk humid. There is zero breeze. You know, it's
supposed to be a clinic, and there are people. He is there now. That tsunami wave, got hundreds of victims that
earthquake. At least 840. Welcome back, and pay attention to this story because it really is a tragedy unfolding in Indonesia. Rescuers there digging through destroyed buildings, through huge mounds of debris for any survivors. This after Friday's monstrous earthquake and the disastrous tsunami that followed that earthquake. At least 844 people are now dead in the city of Palu, with the death toll expected to climb much higher.
Just look at those images. You've got hundreds of victims that they're burying right now in these mass graves. They're trying to prevent the spread of disease. And then if you missed it over the weekend, stop and look at this video. This is the moment when that tsunami wave 10 feet high is rushing in, slamming into the coast of Palu. Let's go to our Matt Rivers. He is there now. I mean, Matt, you know, where you are, this makeshift clinic was not supposed to be a clinic, and there are people in the midst of this tragedy suffering right on the ground behind you.
You know, it's difficult to watch, frankly. We have been here all day long, and what these people are putting up with behind me, with very serious injuries. I mean, it's hot here. It is humid. There is zero breeze. To be frank, you can smell from what we talked about last hour. There's corpses 150 meters away from here. It is not a healthy environment at all, and yet these people are having to go through this because this is a part of the world that does not have the kind of infrastructure that can stand up, let alone to an earthquake, but you know, put a tsunami on top of that. They can't do that, and this is the result of that, and these people are going through that. They're trying to get international aid in here. They're trying to get more NGOs up here. They're trying to get more heavy equipment up here to get people out of the wreckage, but it is a slow process. I mean, just to get here, for us to travel, I was in Bangkok, I came here, it took almost 2 days to get here, and it's not that far as the crow flies. So if I had that trouble, other people are going to have that trouble, and it just exacerbates what's already a difficult situation. And we talk about the death toll going up, it will go up. It's not a matter of, it's just more a matter of how much it will go up. I mean, there's 744 homes that we're told are buried under mud about a half an hour drive from here. Were people in those homes? You have to imagine they were. How many people were able to escape before the landslide happened? We're not sure. That's the kind of questions that authorities still have, but that's why we know that the death toll is going to go up, guys.
And just, Matt, before you go on that warning that Jim brought up last hour, that, you know, the New York Times is reporting there are these 22 buoys that are supposed to indicate and give warning after the tragedy of 2004, and none of them were working and have not been working for a long time. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the government is denying it officially. What the government is saying is that the tsunami warning, which there was a tsunami warning that went out, people here will tell you that. And then people here will also tell you that 35 minutes later, that tsunami warning was lifted and it's the tsunami wave hit after that. Now, the government is disputing that. But if you talk to all these people around here, especially people that live on the coastal communities that are now decimated, wooden houses don't even exist anymore,
right?
They will tell you that something is wrong with the tsunami warning system.
Goodness, heartbreaking to imagine. Matt Rivers there on the scene for us. Thanks very much. Joining us now is Jan Gelfand, head of the International Federation of Red Cross delegation in Indonesia. Thanks very much for taking the time. We know you have a lot on your hands. You said earlier that, and I'm quoting you, I don't think we've quite seen the worst of things yet. I imagine you're expecting the death toll to rise. Do you have any sense of the scale at this point?
I think, Matt, in your just a prior discussion, you get a lot of points really good. This is in the nature of an earthquake, and I think that we need to recognize that where he is right now in Palu is not even it's Donggala where the epicenter was. This was an earthquake that was 7.5. The Richter scale is also only 10 kilometers deep, and that means a tremendous amount of movement. And so we haven't gotten up and down the coast because of the difficulties of transportation, and not even inland where there's landslides, slightly smaller communities, rural communities. The number's going to go up significantly. I don't want to. We have from the Indonesian Red Cross, we have rescue workers that are beside community workers beside the army. They're going to keep going until they find every body or if they find every live people. That's just the way that they are. But this number's going to go up, no question.
I was so struck by what our reporter on the ground, Matt Rivers, just told Jim and myself, and that is that it took him 2 days to get there from Bangkok. Okay, if it takes him that long to get there, what does that mean for the time that's running out for people that need to be rescued or treated urgently? What does it mean for just the supply?
It's very difficult because especially in the area of rescue, you need certain kinds of equipment. You just don't go climbing into rubble and start looking for people, even though that's what your nature is. You need equipment so that you keep your teams safe and so forth. That equipment can't even make it there. It's not a question of whether somebody wants to bring it in or not. It's impossible to bring it in. And so that's just causing huge amounts of problems. The same thing, we have the Indonesian Red Cross is bringing in 15 water trucks. We're bringing in tents. We're bringing in kitchens. We're bringing in a mobile clinic and surgical teams. But to get that equipment in there, some of it we're bringing in by boat. There's a huge logistical, challenge. So every time that, and as long as that takes, your, time is going by. So we have 180 volunteers working in there. Some of the stories that I hear from them, they mirror what we heard what Matt said. This is a terrible tragedy. It's serious, and we haven't seen the worst of it. And that's what earthquakes do. It takes a long time.
Yeah.
We're going to keep following this story, and we're also going to let you know how you can help, because I'm sure there's going to be an outpouring of requests for aid.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Jan. We appreciate it, and good luck to all of the Red Cross teams doing work there. If you're watching and you want to help the victims affected by this earthquake and the tsunami, you can go to cnn.com/impact. Again, that is cnn.com/impact. A lot of ways listed there that you can help.
If there ever was a Shakespeare play for these turbulent political times, it is King Lear. The demise of a demanding king, the backstabbing power merchants who surround him, the chaos of war. The masterpiece is always timely, and the latest actor taking on this demanding character is Sir Anthony Hopkins. 30 years since he trod the boards as Lear on stage, he's now bringing him to Amazon Prime, where he embodies the aging king dividing his kingdom between his daughters.
Oh, and we have divided in three, our kingdom. It is our past intent to shake confidence in business from our age, conferring them on youngest friends, while we, unburdened, go toward death.
Hopkins is an actor beloved and feared for his work, whether in his Oscar-winning role as Hannibal Lecter in The Silence of the Lambs, or his stifled butler in The Remains of the Day, where he managed to convey love and anguish with heartbreaking subtlety. King Lear is out today, and we spoke recently about his remarkable life and career and what drew him to this part, finally. Anthony Hopkins, welcome to the program. You know, we are all so familiar with your massive body of work, and it just strikes me as a really interesting question to ask you that you didn't really want to be an actor. You've said music and art were your first love, and you sort of stumbled into acting by mistake. How so?
I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be a pianist, a composer. I played the piano ever since I was a kid, 6 years of age. Anyway, when I was 17 and I was at a loss. I was in school, not qualified to do anything, hopeless at everything, academically, no sports, nothing like that. So I didn't know what I was going to do. And suddenly there was a scholarship for the Cardiff College of Music and Drama. So I thought, well, maybe I'll go and try a scholarship as an actor and see if I can sneak into the music department. Anyway, I'd never acted before in my life, and I did a piece from Othello, and I did the audition. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did the audition full of sound and fury, and they gave me the scholarship, much to my surprise. So that's how I started. I thought, well, this beats working for a living.
Well, let me ask you something, because it's really interesting to hear that 50 years ago, you got your big stage break by playing Sir Lord Laurence Olivier's understudy in the Strindberg play. And one day, as every actor dreams, the principal fell ill, couldn't play, and you stepped into the role. And I just wonder, you know, what you think about that serendipity and what he then said, the great man himself, Olivier, wrote. A new young actor in the company of exceptional promise named Anthony Hopkins was understudying me and walked away with the part of Edgar, like a cat with a mouse between his teeth. That's pretty amazing. What did you think when you got that kind of validation?
I was an ambitious young kid, you know. I wanted to do everything and be everywhere. And I was scared stiff. And I was understudying Olivia. He seemed to take a shine to me because I was very strong. He admired strong, you know, because I was physically very strong and tough. And I think he valued that in actors. He said you have to be strong, very healthy and fit.
Tenno, a new alert has begun. It will be marked on navigation.
Understudy himself. And he'd never been ill in his life. He was, then he had cancer. And it was in those days they had invented up radium tube. And I was told that, I was told one morning saying, you're on stage tonight. I said, you're kidding me. And I thought they were joking. I went into the theatre for rehearsal. I'd learned the entire part. That's my thing, I always prepare. I went into the rehearsal with Robert Stephens and Geraldine McCue, and Glenn Barnshaw was directing, and unfortunately Olivia's costume and uniform fitted me. Anyway, they started, and I got a huge round of applause at the end of it, and apparently I thought I was very good. I was far too young, but Olivia had come out of hospital. He'd visited the theatre, he was in a bathrobe or something, dressed up with his overcoat on, and he stood at the back of the theatre to watch me. And he phoned me the next day. He said, how did you feel? I said, well, I was scared. He said, I bet you were. So you did very well, dear boy. And he said, any problems? I said, well, I went through about 3 shirts. I was so wet with perspiration and sweat. He said, well, that's tension. I said, how long will it take to get rid of that? He said, about 25 years.
That is a great story, and particularly that he got out of his sickbed basically and came to watch you. It is an amazing story. And you mentioned that one of your first roles was Othello, and you then took on a whole ream of Shakespearean roles. But I'm fascinated that you sort of mid-Macbeth walked out and decided you just didn't want to do that anymore in 1973. What was going on in your career, in your life, in your relationship with Shakespeare at that time?
Well, I was a bad boy. I was trouble, you know. I was rebellious, restless, and I didn't fit in. I think it was nothing to do with the feeling Welsh or inferior, but I just didn't feel I belonged anywhere. And I still have that feeling to this day. I never fit in quite easily with people in the acting business. I love working with actors, but I always feel slightly a bit of the outsider. And I think that's been my driving force, I suppose. And I I wasn't a very good team player. And things went wrong during our production, and one day I said, that's it. And there was a director, famous director, John Dexter, who was a bit of a monster, but he was a great director. But he was a bully. And one day I said, that's it. I phoned my agent. I said, I'm not going in anymore. He said, can't you think that working again? I said, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. And I didn't. That was my attitude. I didn't care about anything. I look back over the years and I think, well, if I hadn't made that decision, it was probably the wrong decision, or I don't know. But I was motivated by restlessness, anger, arrogance, and all that. But I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't done it. So
it's really interesting the way you describe all your own sort of feelings and the way you are. I want to play just for a moment. I know I'm leapfrogging a lot, but so many people know you for so many things, but especially the younger generation for the Hannibal Lecter. And I want to play, how kind of awful a psychotic you are in this performance, and what an amazing impact it's had. We're just going to play a clip for a moment.
Oh, Agent Darling, you think you can dissect me with this blonde little too?
No. I thought that your knowledge...
That's so ambitious, aren't you? Do you know what you look like to me with your good bag and your cheap shoes? You look like a rube. A well-scrubbed hustling rube with a little taste. Good nutrition's given you some room for bone, but you're not one of the generation of poor white trash, are you, Agent Darling? And that accent you've tried so desperately to shed, pure West Virginia. Was your father to is your coal miner, those thinkable man? I know how quickly the boys found you, all those tedious, sticky phone buttons in the backseats of cars, while you could only dream of getting out, getting anywhere, getting all the way to the end.
I mean, it's chilling even today as we watch it. I wonder what your reaction to that is. You got an Oscar for playing that role, and I wonder how your acting life changed after that role.
My agent phoned me one afternoon. I was in the theatre early. I was there early, getting ready to go on. And it was a long run. I was getting tired, bored, wanting to break out. My agent sent me a script. He said, are you in the theatre? He said, I want you to read a script called Silence of the Lambs. And I thought it was I said, is it children's stories? No. It's with Jodie Foster. And you play part of Hannibal Lecter. They're very interested in you playing it. So the script came, I read part of it. I phoned him up. I said, is this an offer or not? And he said, well, it's not an offer. They're very interested in us, but I don't want to read anymore. This is one of the best parts I've ever read. So he phoned back an hour later. He said, Jonathan Demme, the director's coming to see you tomorrow night. You're on. I said, okay. And I knew how to play. I don't know why, but I know how to play these parts. It's a strange feeling, but it's in my muscles, in my nature, I guess. I guess I'm an actor by freaky chance. I don't know why. I'm not an intellectual, I'm not an educated person, but I have this instinct for it. And a certain toughness and rawness in my nature.
You've described your toughness and not being a gentle actor. And you did say to, the TV movie critic Barry Norman back in 1993, the British critic, after playing, Lecter, Nixon, Hitler, all of those dark roles, you said, it's the certainty within them that's attractive, the unblinkered look into the darkness. I think I understand that for some reason. It's a pretty big admission, that.
Yes, and I can't quite understand anything about what I meant by that. I still don't get it, But I've always had that instinct ever since I was a kid. Of the certainty of that life is tough and hard. And I came from a background, my father was a hard-working man, so much like that. There was a certain toughness about it. They didn't mix with, they weren't very touchy-feely. And I think that's what I did. It's beyond the ego, it was just an instinct that forced me to look at life as it is. For example, in the Lear, can I jump to that for a moment?
You can, but I want to ask you about that, because I'm going to play a clip. So, you mentioned Lear, and, we're circling all the way back in your career to Shakespeare, and of course, it's being played by many, many greats. Your old buddy, Soria McKenna, is doing it in the West End in Britain right now. Glenda Jackson, the other great British actress, is about to take on King Lear on Broadway. And now you're taking the film version. Before I play a clip, I want to know what it is about Lear that even fascinates you.
When I played it years ago, 30 years ago, in David Ayer's production, it was a very good production. And I played Lear, but I was too young. And I hammered up and I didn't know what I was doing, but I was playing it. And I wasn't looking. But I knew I understood. Because now I'm 80, I'm in my 81st year. Now I understand the muscle of the man, the power of the man, and about old age, and about loneliness, and about death. And I've always had that sense in my nature about death. And my favourite poems are about death more time, but about the certainty of death, about the certainty of mortality. And like T.S. Eliot, I've seen the moments of my greatness. I've seen the eternal footman fall backwards and snicker, and I want to play here without the fanfares of bowing and scraping and trumpets, just as an old warrior who's impatient with everyone and has no time for nonsense. He only loves one creature, and that's his daughter, Cordelia, who I believe in childbirth, my wife was killed in childbirth in birth, so I treated her like a boy. First thing I gave her a sword, bow and arrow, and fought with her, So she was like a boy. The other two girls I didn't have any time for. And this is in my nature as well.
Come on, man. Jesus fuck.